73% of Gen Z report they feel alone, either sometimes or always. Gen Z is now the loneliest generation. Loneliness epidemic hits Gen Z hardest. 1 in 4 are lonely at work. These pieces of information really took me by surprise. In my perception, Gen Z represents a youthful generation driven by a strong desire for self-expression and self-assertion. Incredibly dynamic, but incredibly lonely. Well, why do they feel so disconnected in their lives? After nearly a day of research and reflection, some reasons have come to me. The COVID-19 pandemic. Gen Z can be considered one of the most adversely affected generations by the COVID-19 pandemic, especially when a portion of Gen Z was transitioning from adolescence to adulthood at that time. They lost out on many crucial life experiences compared to previous generations, along with the necessary support from those around them during their journey to adulthood. This was because the entire world's attention and concern were focused on the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic prevented Gen Z from direct interactions with teachers, friends, or colleagues they had just recently met. Online classes acted as a barrier to building closer relationships with classmates and hindered the creation of memorable school-time experiences. Many young people I know didn't form any long-lasting friendships in college because they hadn't seen each other for over a year and a half, yet they still graduated and went their separate ways. Additionally, remote work for the newly entering Gen Z workforce is a reason they feel isolated and distant from previous generations, in other words, their coworkers. It can be said that pandemic-related social restrictions have left a legacy of diminished confidence in connecting with others. Hyper-connected, yet lonely. Generation Z was among the earliest and youngest cohorts to come of age in the digital age. Excessive screen time can result in reduced face-to-face interactions, contributing to feelings of loneliness. Recently, I had a heart-to-heart conversation with my close cousin, Amber, a typical Gen Z representative. She's smart, trend-savvy, authentically self-aware, and always ready to express her personal viewpoints. She's well-versed in most of the popular social media platforms today, and she even has a TikTok account with a decent following. Her audience, mostly peers of her age, adores her individual style and vibrant personality in every video. However, Amber shared, "Behind those lively and energetic videos, I often feel empty. People are drawn to a lively Amber, but is anyone genuinely ready to meet and uplift a tired and lonely Amber? I've felt so alone that I've cried." It's not about objective isolation, but rather the subjective experience of loneliness within an individual. Meaning the quantity of people around you isn't the key. It's the sense of connection you feel with those people. It's ironic that social media was designed to foster closeness, yet we've never felt so distant since its creation. Mental health issues. The Gallup WFF study indicates that, when compared to older generations, a greater portion of Gen Z members report that their mental health and emotional well-being are either poor or just okay. Gen Z encounters more mental health challenges, including common issues like depression and anxiety, which can often lead to withdrawing from social interactions. Individuals dealing with these conditions may distance themselves from their friends and family, intensifying their sense of loneliness. Gen Z tends to be more aware of and accepting of mental health issues compared to older generations. This often leads to a thought-provoking concern. Just when Gen Z has come to realize and hope that their loved ones understand what they're going through, the people they trust the most can leave them feeling disappointed. Their families might think they're exaggerating or attribute their issues to negative traits they may possess, like being lazy, oversleeping, lacking motivation, or giving up easily. This further contributes to Gen Z's sense of isolation in their own world. The most challenging part is when they can't open up to anyone without fearing judgment. Delay in milestones. Much of our lives are outlined with statements like, "You need to be well-behaved when young, study hard and diligently from elementary to high school, and then go to college. After you finish your education, find a high-paying job with long-term growth potential, then find someone to marry, buy a house, and start your own little family." So what's the issue here? Well, Everything seems pre-programmed and one size fits all. That's the problem. Deviating from this preset path, such as dropping out of school, facing unemployment, or not getting married, often leads to judgment from those around you. This is a significant pressure on Gen Z. Growing up in an era of digital technology has made their thinking much more progressive than previous generations. Gen Z values individuality and freedom, leading to a delay in reaching traditional life milestones. This delay contributes to the feeling of loneliness in Gen Z by nurturing a sense of social disconnection and unmet expectations. The average age of grooms is now around 30, while brides are typically around 28 years old, as per the latest U.S. Census data. Furthermore, the delay of these significant life events can affect the social bonds of Gen Z, as friends and peers tie the knot, build families, or acquire homes. They tend to naturally connect with others experiencing similar life phases. This can result in a feeling of seclusion for those who haven't achieved these milestones, making them feel left out of these evolving social circles. Additionally, the pressure to fit into societal standards and meet expectations can magnify the sensation of loneliness. As Gen Z individuals may question their own life decisions and sense a disconnection from friends who seem to be following a more traditional life path. Urbanization. In addition to these factors, Gen Z's sense of loneliness is also tied to the planning of modern cities, leading to a hectic lifestyle and a lack of community interaction. A survey by The Conversation on the relationship between city life and loneliness reveals that living in overcrowded environments increases loneliness by up to 38%. Furthermore, the natural environment in which relationships occur also plays a part in determining whether someone feels lonely or not. People feel less lonely by around 28% in urban areas with natural features like trees, plants, and birds compared to urban areas lacking these characteristics. Gen Z is naturally affected by this phenomenon as the majority of them tend to live, study, and work in developed cities. They experience loneliness because there's hardly much public or private space to hang out and connect with others. Many Gen Zers wish to have a friend group or a community near where they live, but this seems impossible when the only things around are miles of houses or companies. It's hard to find a place to truly relax and recharge in this luxurious city, one of my Gen Z colleagues exclaimed while struggling to escape the inner turmoil. Perhaps this doesn't apply to all of Gen Z, but we must all acknowledge that today's cities are designed to facilitate transportation and economic development rather than focusing on human beings and promoting community connections. So, it's clear that even though Gen Z is a generation that dares to think and act and empathize more with social issues, they are also, paradoxically, lonelier than previous generations. As a millennial, I often hear from older people, and even from my own generation, saying, young people these days have it much easier. They have no idea what we had to go through at their age. Well, that might be true, only to them. In reality, every generation faces challenges directly related to the era in which they were born and grew up, both physically and mentally. Life's obstacles don't spare anyone, regardless of their generation. So, instead of comparing or denying the difficulties that Gen Z is currently struggling with at their age, the one thing, and perhaps the most crucial thing that we, the older generations, can do is acknowledge and empathize with what they are dealing with, including their loneliness. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more valuable content.